Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out GITGUDracing.com. I've coached hundreds of drivers, from real-life racers to sim enthusiasts, who experience rapid improvement after just one session. And while investing in top-notch hardware is great, imagine how much more you can elevate your experience by adding coaching to the mix. My methods are practical, aiming to break down complex concepts into easily digestible bits that are simple to understand. You can find reviews of the sessions I've conducted on the Fiverr link provided in the video description. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Now for the track guide. This is a track guide for fixed series, 42 degrees Celsius with a fixed setup. Going into turn 1, what I use as a reference for braking is this cone right here, the first cone. I want to brake at it, and quite importantly here, with this car, you want to keep higher gears. So you're gonna be tempted to go into 4th gear, which is gonna give you that rotation, plus it will scrap some speed with the engine braking, but it will be a lot slower. It will be 1.5 tenths slower if you're gonna use 4th gear. So instead, you want to go to 5th, like that, and do the rotation with the trail brake. Try to do it in 5th gear. If it's way too difficult, then you can go to 4th, but if you're gonna use 4th gear, try to upshift quickly to 5th and keep the engine RPMs up so that you won't lose that much speed. In terms of apex, I want to get this part of the track, I want to go almost to the grass when apexing, and look that I'm still on the braking here. So 5th gear means a lot more speed into the corner, but you need to rotate with the brake. So still trailing, and at this point, with the moment that I go on power, it's like an on-off switch. It's one frame in which I go from 0 to 100 because there's a lot of grip on the inside of this curb. You don't want to build it up too slowly, you want to hit it quick and hit it hard, but you need this good angle so that you can make it work. So having the right tires almost on the grass, then you will push all the way and use this exit track right here, which is gonna be key. Now for the next corner, my braking reference is the number 1 board on the left side. I want to brake at the number 1 when it's very closely to my left tire. And again here, you want to trail brake a lot into this corner. You won't brake very hard, but now when you're trying to rotate, still trailing, still on the brakes. I have some oversteering moments in this corner as well, same as in the first corner, just because of the trail brake. So the combination of lower percentage trail brake plus the initial braking plus some steering angle is gonna give you the rotation that you need. You can take this corner in 4th gear. Because I braked a bit later and a bit softer, I went into 3rd. But if you want to take it in 4th, it's gonna be the same time, maybe just a little bit quicker in 4th gear. Brake a bit earlier than you think, stay in 4th and be earlier on throttle. But right now I'm apexing around the grass again, cutting this curb as much as I can, then putting the power down. A small correction on the exit, but still was pretty good. Now going into the next corner, my reference for braking is the number 2 board on the left side, which is exactly the same as the end of the sand. So I'm looking at number 2, but also I'm looking at the sand on the right side because I want to brake whenever the sand ends. So right now I'm applying the brakes. It was maybe a bit too late. You want to brake just a bit earlier, but again, very important to take this curb in between the car so you can open up this corner. But if you're gonna brake on this curb, you will lose a lot of grip. You don't want to brake on it, but also you don't want to stay all the way to the left side. There's a lot of space that you can use to open up the corner. So again, using all the track. And in terms of apex, there's a bit of dirt around the curb right here. You want to apex at this part and cut it with your tire. You want to stay very close to this curb, still braking, and the moment that you touch the curb, you're gonna be back on power like that. It was just a bit too late in my case, just because I braked a bit too late again. So brake a bit earlier so that you can be on power the moment that you take the inside curb. Now into this corner, it's a blind corner, you don't see it. What I want to do is brake the moment that the road starts to straighten it up a bit. So you don't want to brake whenever the car is here. Instead, you want to delay it a bit more from here. The grip levels are a bit harder if you do it, just because right now it's basically you're going into a crest, and because of that, because the car gets lifted, the grip disappears from you. But I found that it's a very early braking point to brake here, so I try to manage this less grip right here by not braking very hard. If you're gonna brake too hard here, the car will instantly lock up because you will go past the grip limits. The grip limits are very thin around this part. You don't have a lot of grip just because of the crest, so don't brake very hard. And the moment that the car lands, then you're safe to trail brake. But initially you're gonna drop it quite quickly, then trailing and hitting again the grass and the curb. I'm not hitting the grass, but I want to be very close near the grass, putting the power down, and you can use more than what I did here. It's gonna be perfectly fine. Bringing the car all the way to the left, and the moment that this wall right here ends, I'm turning flat out corner. And now for the next one, number 2 as a reference point, use all the track here. You see this curb on the right side, you can brake on it and turn from it. Just because you do your initial braking right here, so if the curb would have been in front of you, it wouldn't be the best idea to brake on it because you had a lot of speed. But because you change your speed and you slow it down at this point, it's okay to use it right now to open up, just because the speed is already lower and the risk of locking up is lower as well. Now trailing into the corner, very important to cut this one as well. So you see it's a theme on this track. You want to be very close on the curbs, very close on the grass, and cut the curbs, because those curbs are very easy to deal with. You can get away with going over the curbs without losing anything. Same here with the curb. Now going into the carousel, this is just a small lift, and the moment that I do the lift is basically mostly based on feel. When I feel that the car is gonna track out wider to the left, so when I feel the force feedback sucking the car from the inside line to the outside, then I give it this small lift, because I want to be glued to this white line here. I want to stay very close to it. So you have to be very mindful of what your steering wheel is telling you with the force feedback, and whenever you feel that, give it a small lift, then going back on throttle. And now this is just a long straight, because this is again a flat out corner, and going into the next heavy braking zone. Number 2 is the reference for braking, so I'm braking at number 2 right here. Braking quite hard initially because you have a lot of downforce, you're able to brake like that, and downshifting to third, but again use this curb and the dirt and the grass. So very close. Picture this in your mind, you have to use all these curbs, otherwise you're gonna lose a lot of lap time. The moment that you hit the curbs, the moment that you put the power down, exactly at the apex, and you're gonna use all the track. Now the next corner is very simple. This is just a flat out corner. The first lap though, it's not gonna be flat out. You have to do a small lift when the tires are a bit colder. Otherwise you will hit this curb and it can unsettle the car. It can make things a lot harder. So just a small lift whenever the car is not fully warmed up. And now into the last corner, I use as a reference for braking this change in the tarmac and number 2. So there's a change in the color of the tarmac that starts here. This is the moment in which I'm preparing to brake, but I'm not braking at it. I'm braking more at number 2, but still with my vision, I see it. I know that I should be ready to brake, and I brake in a straight line initially. I'm going for this curve right here to open up, and the moment that I touch it, I just turn again and trail brake. However, I turned it a bit too early and I'm gonna lose now on the exit just because of this correction under throttle. So I went on power, and because I was taking an early apex, I was all the way to the inside here. So I would have, if I maintain the throttle right now, I will just get the grass. This was a very early turn in. This was a mistake which I think it costed me 2/10. So whenever you go on power on this corner, you really want to stay on power. You don't want to do corrections under throttle just because it's a huge straight up until turn 1. So it's better to turn later and trail brake for longer rather than turning early. And this is a good thing that I did this mistake because it's a very common one. Obviously it's a difficult corner, you don't see it right, but what you can do to make it more consistent and better would be to wait just a bit more after you touch this curb, because I turn at the moment in which I'm hitting the curb. If I would have waited just 1/2 more, so the car would just go a bit more forward, then with the trail brake and the turning, this would have been perfect. So keep this in mind, use all the track on the exit, and in short, that's the track guide for week number 1 with the new Super Formula Lights car. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.